we got Matt Rhule. We got a couple players this week. Spring practice will begin March 20th. This is the final week of winter conditioning. Then everybody's off for a week for spring break, and then they'll come back and begin spring ball. Lots to dive into with Matt Rhule and that press conference. Sip, I just thought, once again, obviously he just knows how to carry himself, cover a lot of ground, says a lot, but doesn't say too much. I mean, he's just a real pro in these types of situations.
He really is. And the reason they had it, I don't know I never did see the release of the press conference of what the deal was, but I think they kind of dubbed it a post-winter conditioning press conference. So he kind of wrapped that up, talked about the competitions they had. They split teams up into 12 player groups. That's why they had people wonder why they have Thomas Fidone and Chief Borders. They did very well on their teams. Well, Fidone was the captain of his.
He was the captain of the best team.
Yeah.
Led by Garrett McGuire.
And Borders was on that team, and he tied Teddy Prohaska for the highest individual point total.
There you go. So that's why they had it. Yeah, I really appreciated it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's content. You gotta meet Chief Borders, which is nice.
And now you can see.
Hell, you got to meet Thomas Fidone.
Yeah, his first formal interview as a Husker, right?
And they're both those guys were really good. I mean, they're both insightful, look comfortable. Kids are amazing to me in some ways. And you're right, Sean. Rhule is a gem. I mean, for us, right now, we'll see what it looks like after he loses. I always have to throw in that caveat. But yeah, he's once again Nebraska very strong in the off season.
We got all the t-shirts, all the banners.
Yeah. Once again, winning the off season very well.
Well, Chief Borders, and we're going to talk more about the players, but you heard a lot about him being kind of a leader behind the scenes, and you could see that just how his demeanor, how he was.
Yeah.
I mean, you're like, God, this guy really
You
represents.
immediately feel better when he walks into the room, like that smile and just how like happy he was. Like he genuinely like was excited to be there, and like that's refreshing in a lot of ways, with especially some of those November interviews where guys are just worn down. The last thing they want to do is talk. Yeah. Chief Borders was loving every minute of that.
He was. You're right. Now that you mention it, it kind of did feel that way when he walked in. It did feel better. He's very. Well, he said that about himself, that he likes to smile. He's very easygoing. And you know what? I'd heard he had a big personality when he came here. Someone told me that right away. Chief Borders and MJ Sherman. They both have big personalities. And he definitely saw it. And Fidone's got a good personality. I don't know what the hell we're talking about personalities for, but how
about winning football?
Yeah, but they got nice personalities.
That's all we got right now.
Yeah.
All right, you're listening here to the HuskerOnline show. Let's delve into Matt Rhule and more of what he said. I'm really fascinated just how he's trying to kind of build his version of Nebraska. And, it's different leadership events. It's being present at things. I mean, you heard him talk about he's seen Husker athletes at volleyball and beach volleyball and swimming and gymnastics and basketball, men's and women's games. I mean, it's almost like a high school. Like, I
didn't do that when I was in high school.
You're at Lincoln High or I'm at Omaha Groves. You're like, we're going to go watch the girls' soccer game. I didn't do that. But now you might have went to the girls' soccer game in high school for other reasons.
Oh, boy.
Well, Sean, easy. But yeah, no, he's really pushing that. I mean, he's espousing that sort of
one Nebraska
unifying. And it makes some sense. Again, I don't know what it equates to exactly. It's hard to quantify any of that, but
investment.
Yeah, it's investment.
It's showing investment to the brand.
Exactly. Where you're about the university. You're not just a football player here for a few months.
Mm-hmm.
You're an established member of the university athletic department, the community.
Isn't that a novel concept?
Yeah, I know. And so like this off-season competition thing, like what I thought was one of the most interesting parts was it's not just what you do in the weight room or what you do in the mat drills or the winter conditioning or whatever it is. It's like, how many community service acts are you going to go do? Are you showing up to class on time? Are you going to study hall on time?
Right.
Are you spending time with players, your teammates at events, going to support other Nebraska athletics? And I think that's sort of stuff. I don't know. It's something that I don't think has been emphasized nearly enough. And, maybe it's just my perspective of it, but like how much this staff is emphasizing and pushing guys to get out of their comfort zones and not just hang out with their position group. You know, where you do with these teams, you select a team, you need a big guy, you need a fast guy, you need a smart guy, you know, like you need all these things.
Guy.
Yeah, you punctual guys. And so like you're not just hanging out with a bunch of receivers. You're not hanging out with a bunch of guys from Florida. You know, you're going out and you're picking a whole diverse group of 12 players that maybe otherwise wouldn't be hanging out at this point in the calendar. So there's, I think, so much value with what they're doing that goes well beyond football.
Yeah, and I don't want to play it down in part because I'm looking at you right now. I'm looking at you cover a team that I remember you writing it in the summer about how Fred was doing team building type things. And I sort of rolled my eyes. But now, lo and behold, look at them. I mean, part of the reason Nebraska won 6 of its last 8 games and is able to close out pretty difficult wins, like the win on the road against Iowa, the win on the road against Rutgers. And I've read it. I've read what you've written. We always wonder that we always have that conversation around here about how do you win close games? Well, part of it's chemistry. It's not all of it, but part of it is just cohesion and banding together at those critical moments late. So maybe Rhule looked at it and said, hey, they're 4-8, close games. We've had that conversation here, but he did allude to it the other day. This team's not that bad. They've been close. And now maybe it's precision and chemistry that gets them over the top.
Well, guys, I'm going to throw a number at you, 39.
39.
The number of new players added to the roster. You've got to get those guys kind of indoctrinated. You know, guys like Trey Palmer and O'Shawn, they were great stories last year, but I mean, they were almost like paid mercenaries. I mean, they came in, they gave Nebraska their 1 year, they're going to go to the NFL, and that's good. That's what the transfer portal is going to do for a lot of teams in college football. But I think to take that next step, you need more than that. You need a foundation, a program, and the Frost era. You know, they got in such a hole with some of their early roster moves that they just never got caught up. And
that's for sure.
And Rhule has to obviously build what he's building and then, you know, get it stable and caught up. Right. Where Frost, the first couple of years, everything just went wrong, you know, and then the players they took, it just didn't, none of it worked out.
COVID didn't help, but
I mean,
I don't want to
make even the ones that you thought should work out leave, like Wandale Robinson. So
a lot,
it just, I think for Rhule, he's got to build his version of Nebraska, and it's getting that foundation and structure done. And these first 3 months have been huge. 101 days when we talked to Rhule, by the way.
Yeah, they added 39, as you mentioned, 11 from the transfer portal, and that will be a high number. He has said that, right?
Yeah, Ed Foley said that at St. Michael's too. He said that we won't have this many ever again. From the number of total recruits and the portal. Like, that's not a number we really want to go for much more. I mean, you can't. I mean, you cannot live on that many guys per year.
The portal is never going away, but I think the ultimate goal is to have a foundation where you supplement through the portal. You're not building your team year in, year out through the portal. You're getting a Trey Palmer to add to what is already a strong, cohesive culture where you have established veterans that know the program and are you know, natural leaders.
Drug, though, the portal.
It is. But if you lean too heavily on it, I mean, it can backfire on you.
And like an addictive drug, you get the highs and the lows of it.
Absolutely.
And there's great days of the portal. Then there's days like, man, like we don't have much structure to our locker room because all these guys are brand new.
Well, we've learned quickly that for instance, if you need a tackle and you're saying you badly need a tackle and you're just relying on the portal, good luck. If you need a big time talented wide out, everybody does. So good luck. I mean, now NIL helps having an
they had a tackle for 3 days.
Was it 3?
Walter Rouse, Wednesday to Saturday.
And was it Wednesday night?
I was standing in the line at Runza, and Abby's like, guys, Walter Rouse decommitted. And I'm like, what?
We've talked about that. I was in my kitchen and it was a surreal moment. Like, it wasn't happening. I was like, no.
It can't. I mean, the guy did like 17 interviews about going to Nebraska.
I was writing the story for us, and all the while I was thinking, is this really going to get published here? I mean, it was odd, very odd. But anyway, you guys got it. And listen, I don't like to do this every year where we say, it's going so well in the off season, but I like what Rhule's doing. I mean, it does look good.
It's all you can base it off of. Right. And so far, there's very little to complain about with
nothing to
what they've done with their roster additions.
Oh, one complaint. There's a problem.
What's that?
Haven't added enough big men.
Well, yeah.
They have
On the front, defensive front.
But that's still
offensive
incomplete.
linemen.
I mean, they still have time.
They need to.
But his hands are around Nebraska football at this stage, much more than we saw from Scott Frost at the same stage, and much more than we ever saw from Mike Riley.
Or Bo Pelini.
I mean, it reminds you more of Callahan. I mean, Callahan definitely had his hands on the day-to-day. It was a different era, though.
But he wasn't as public.
No.
Not even close.
No. I mean,
Now, I'm a huge fan of Bill Callahan, so that's not a complaint about him. Some guys are just different than others. If I were a head coach, I wouldn't be public. I mean, it's not my personality, nor was it Bill's. But I kind of like this look. Matt seems to like it here. Again, it's all very, it's no games. So you just want to see what it looks like after that. But yeah, I'm with you guys. I really like the way it looks. And I love the CEO part.
Yeah,
Love to
there's
see
something to be said for unifying the fan base too.